Hello students, today we are going to learn the next chapter of your course, Diary of Anne Frank. Alright, so the title of the chapter is Alright, now this chapter is an autobiographical excerpt of Anne Frank, right? Anne Frank took birth in the year 1926, alright, sorry, 29. Alright, now she took birth in the year 1929 in Frankfurt, alright, in Germany. She took birth in Germany in 1929, alright. The name of her sister was Margot. And Margot was 3 years elder than Anne Frank. Father's name was Otto Frank. Mother's name was Edith Frank. They both got married when father was 36 years old and mother was 25 years old. Alright. And they got married, and then Margot was the elder sister of Anne Frank. Anne Frank took birth in the year 1929 and her sister Margot took birth in the year 1926. Alright. And where did she take birth, children? She took birth in Frankfurt. But in Frankfurt, she lived just for 4 years. Alright. And then what happened is, then her father shifted to Holland. Clear? But she was sent to her grandmother in Aachen, alright, and she was staying with her grandmother. But later on, she also went to Holland with her parents. Clear? Now, when she got her initial education in Montessori school, alright, and there her teacher, Cuperus. What was the name of her teacher over there? Cuperus, alright. And she was very much close to Anne Frank, and she used to miss her teacher a lot. Alright. So till here, what have we studied, children? This chapter is an autobiographical excerpt of Anne Frank's diary. Clear? Anne Frank took birth in the year 1929 in Frankfurt, Germany. Alright. Elder sister's name, Margot, and she took birth in the year 1926. Father's name, Otto Frank, and his father was 36 when he got married to Edith Frank. Edith Frank, mother of Anne Frank, and she was 25 when she married Otto Frank. Alright. Then one of her teachers' name was Cuperus when she was studying in Montessori school. Alright. Now, Anne Frank, started writing this diary because she thought paper has more patience than people. Alright. So what did she think, children? She thought that paper has more patience than people. Alright. So that's why she started writing diary in 1942. Alright. Her grandmother died in 1941 and she was very, very close to her grandmother, right? And 1 year after that, in 1942, father of Anne Frank, that is Otto Frank, gave her a diary, alright? On her birthday, on her 13th birthday, she received a diary from her father, alright, Otto Frank, and on 20th June. When did she start writing, children? On 20th June. And when did she take birth, children? On 12th June 1929, Germany. Alright. So she started writing in the year 1942 when her grandmother died in 1941. After that, after 1 year, she got a diary from her father when she was 13 years old on 12th June, right? She got diary on 12th June. But she started writing on 20th June 1942. Clear? Now, why did she start writing a diary? She started writing a diary because she believed that she did not have a real friend. She had more than 30 people whom she called her friends, but she did not still have a real friend with whom she could, talk her heart out. Clear? So she believed that paper has more patience than people, all right? And she also thought that who would read a diary of such a young girl? All right, until unless she gets a real friend, she would not allow anybody to read her diary. And with that view, she started writing her diary. All right. Now she was a Jew girl. All right, she was a Jewish German. And then when Nazis came to rule Germany and they were against Jews, then they had to go and hide in Holland, right? And there she started writing a diary. She wrote her diary for 2 years. After that, she died. Her father got her diary, and her diary got published in many languages. Also, there were dramas, theaters, and the opera singing on her diary. Clear? These all are done on her diary, on the, whatever was written in her diary. So, the opera singing was done on that. The plays were done on that. Dramas, theaters were done on that. And this diary has got printed in many languages. Clear, children? Now, this diary was, her father got this diary and he got it published. Now, when she started writing this diary, children, she thought that I am going to write everything what I wish to in the diary. She named her diary as Kitty. Alright, what did she name her diary? Kitty. She believed that she will, say everything, whatever she wished to the diary, because she believed that there are so many people around her. Her loving father, her mother, though she had few clashes with her mother, okay, but still her mother loved her a lot, right? Father was very loving. She was very close to her father. Sister also was very loving, right? There were aunts, uncles, friends, everyone, but still she, did not have a real friend. And she started writing a diary. And on what date did she start writing a diary, children? On 20th June 1942. Now she said that she was in a school previously, in Montessori school, where her teacher was Cuperus, right? And that teacher was very close to her. But then she was there till she was 6 years old. Then she went to another school, and there she was studying. And when she started writing her diary, on 20th June 1942, she is saying that it was a day when the result was to be declared. All the students were moving here and there. They were putting bet that who is going to be, who's going to move on to the next class and who is going to stay back in the same class as the result was to be declared. All right. So all the children were very nervous. Clear? They were putting bets. Clear? The children were putting bets that I am not going to go further, or you are not going to go further. You are definitely going to clear this class and going to go further, right? So they all were putting bet. And Anne Frank believed that most of the students in her class were dummies. What dummies, children? They did not participate in any activity. They did not do anything. So they deserved to be in the same class, as they were worthless. Alright. So she thought that the students should not be promoted to next class. But she also has added a line here that teachers are the most unpredictable creatures. No one can judge what's in their mind and whom are they going to promote and whom are they not going to promote. So she has said that teachers are the most unpredictable creatures. As far as Anne Frank was concerned, she had 9 teachers. 7 out of them were male and 2 were female teachers. Alright. She did not have fear of any teacher except Mr. Keesing, the mathematics teacher. Alright. So she was afraid of Keesing. Alright. So he was the mathematics teacher. Cuperus was a teacher of previous school, right? Now, why did she fear Mr. Keesing is the whole chapter. Alright, children. Now, a quick revision of what we did till now, and then I'm going to tell you what was the matter with Mr. Keesing and what is the chapter all about. Alright. Now, I told you this chapter is an autobiographical excerpt of Anne Frank. Anne Frank was a Jew German, right? And she took birth in the year 1929 on 12th June in Germany, Frankfurt. Alright, but she stayed there only for 4 years. Then they had to move to Holland. Alright. Then for some time she was also sent to her grandmother in Aachen. Alright, where did her grandmother live, children? Aachen, right? So she was sent to her grandmother in Aachen also, right? And she was very close to her grandmother. Her grandmother died in 1941 and she, got her diary in 1942. Who gave the diary, children? Otto Frank, father. Mother's name was Edith Frank. When Otto Frank and Edith Frank got married, father was 36 years old and mother was 25 years old. She also had a sister, Margot Frank, who was 3 years elder than Anne Frank. Alright. And when she received the diary, what name did she give to her diary? Kitty. Alright. She studied in Montessori school. And there she had a teacher, Cooperus, alright, and she was very close to that teacher. She and the teacher cried a lot when she left the school. She was there only till she was 6 years old, alright, and then she went to higher school. Alright, now she received her diary in the year 12th June 1942, but she started writing her diary on 20th June 1942. Then with what thought did she start writing the diary, children? She had many thoughts. She had several thoughts in her mind when she started writing her diary. The few of them were that paper has more patience than people, because she had several people around her: father, mother, sister, relatives, uncle, aunts, friends, but she believed that she did not still have a real friend. Alright, she craved for a real friend, right? And she thought, as paper has more patience than people, she can talk her heart out to the paper, right? She can write everything on the paper, whatever she wished to share, right? And she thought that who would read a diary of such a young girl? She herself won't read her diary again. But after her death, her father got the diary, alright, and Nazis attacked Germany, and they were against Jews, right? So this family had to fled to Holland, and they had to hide themselves for 2 continuous years, and over there she wrote her diary, alright, and whatever was there in the diary got published in many languages, and along with that, dramas, theaters, plays were also conducted. Clear, children? So this is what we learned in the till now, and now I told you that when she started writing her diary, it was 20th June. Alright, on 20th June the result was to be declared. Students were getting restless. Why were the students getting restless, children? Because they were unsure whether they will be promoted to next class or not. So that's why they were quite unsure. Clear? But Anne Frank believed that most of the students were worthless and should be kept back, should not be promoted, as they were dummies. Dummy here means they were worthless. They were not worth promoting to the next class. Students were putting bet. They were nervous. They were pretending as if they won't be promoted here, right? But Anne Frank said that she was totally unaware whether she will be promoted, who will be promoted and who will not be promoted, because teachers are the most unpredictable creatures. Till here I told you. Now we are going to move further. Anne Frank said that she had 9 teachers who were teaching her. 7 of them were males, and 2 of them were females. Out of 7, she was just afraid of Mr. Keesing, who was her mathematics teacher. Right? Why was she afraid of Mr. Keesing? Because Mr. Keesing had scolded her several times because of her being very talkative. Anne Frank was quite a talkative girl. She always used to talk. Alright. So Mr. Keesing one day gave her extra homework and asked her to write an essay on chatterbox. Alright, a chatterbox. What was the title of the chapter, that essay, children? Chatterbox. Alright. So this was the title, and Anne Frank went home. She did her homework, she completed her homework, but she forgot about this essay. Then suddenly her eyes caught the notebook where she had written the title of the essay, and she started writing it. All right, and when she started writing it, children, then she was confused. What should I write? Previously she thought that I should just write few words, I should gap the words and write something. All right, I should leave lines and just complete the homework. But then she thought that I should put forward my views, all right, to give a proper argument to Mr. Keesing. And hence she started writing. And what did she write in the essay, children? She wrote that talking is the character trait of children, and they are supposed to talk, though she will try to control herself, but this is a character trait of students. All right, so she was not doing anything wrong, she meant like that, right? The second thing she wrote in that essay was that her mother talked a lot, and she has inherited this quality from her mother. All right, and then she submitted the essay the next day to Mr. Keesing, and Mr. Keesing laughed a lot when he read it. All right, then again Mr. Keesing gave her another essay as extra homework, and the title of that essay was Incorrigible Chatterbox. What do you mean by incorrigible? Incorrigible means when we cannot stop someone or prevent someone from doing something. So Anne Frank could not be prevented talking, and that's why Mr. Keesing gave her another topic, which was incorrigible chatterbox. All right, so this was the title of that chapter, Incorrigible Chatterbox, right? Now incorrigible, I have already told you, someone who could not be prevented from doing something. All right, so incorrigible chatterbox. Now what happened? She went home, she completed that essay also, and then she submitted that also to Mr. Keesing. All right, and still Mr. Keesing, he laughed again. Again he gave her the third essay to write. All right, now what was the title of third essay? Quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox. All right, the third one was quack, 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 three times. Said Mistress Chatterbox. All right, so this was the title of third essay. Clear? Now what happened? When she went home, she thought that something strong should be presented to Mr. Keesing so as to make him believe about something about her talking, right? So what did she do? She this time thought that she is going to present this in the poetry form. All right, and she took help of her friend Sam. All right, of whom did she take help, children? Sam, friend. And she was good in rhyming and making poetry. So she took help of Sam and she wrote a poetry, okay, an essay in the form of poetry, rhythm. And what was there in that essay, children? She wrote that there was a duck mother, all right, and there was Father Swan. This is what I am telling, the essay of quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox, right? So this is what I am telling you, what was there in the essay. In the essay, she wrote that there was a duck mother and swan father. They had 3 ducklings, all right. They had 3 kids, ducklings, or baby ducklings. And then what happened? They talked a lot. Father Swan killed 3 ducklings only because they talked a lot. And she presented this essay to Mr. Keesing. Mr. Keesing got so much moved by this that she never gave extra homework to Anne Frank, right? And he himself started joking in the class. Alright, so this entire thing was written on 20th June 1942 in the diary of Anne Frank, and this is what has been given in your course, in the chapter that is there for your course. Alright, I hope you have understood, children, what is there in the chapter. In the chapter, the girl is presenting her thoughts that why did she talk a lot, and how talking is the character trait of students. How Mr. Keesing gave 3 essays. First one, chatterbox. Second one, incorrigible chatterbox. Third one, quack 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 sad mistress chatterbox. So these were the 3 essays given by Mr. Keesing. In the first one, she wrote that talking is the character trait, and she has inherited this character trait from her mother. In the last one, she presented a story of duck, swan and 3 ducklings, right? So she presented her views. She was very good at writing, that we can see that how a 13-year-old girl has written her diary, and that was so influencing, inspirational, that it was printed in several languages, and it reached to people in so many languages, and also the other plays, theaters were done on it. I hope you have understood the chapter, children. There are few facts that you need to remember. Mother's name, Edith Otto Frank, then how, you know, she went to her grandmother. Her grandmother died in the year 1941. She was very close to her grandmother. She could not celebrate her birthday, that birthday in 1941, but later on in 1942 she received a diary from her father, and she named that diary as Kitty. All right, and why did she start writing the diary? With the view that she can talk her heart out on the paper, as paper has more patience than people. And how she started writing diary, because she had several people but still she did not have a real friend, so she considered Kitty as her real friend with whom she can share each and everything, right? Because she believed that of course she can, you know, talk everything with everybody, but she cannot, you know, cry with her friends every time. She cannot, you know, she may talk something jolly with her friend, but she may not be able to share each and everything with her friends. So she considered Kitty as her best friend, and she started writing, though she had 30 people around whom she called her friends, right? But still uncles, aunt, and you know, father, mother, friends, everyone was there, but still she was wanting a real friend. Then the episode of Mr. Keesing had been described, how when on 20th June all the children were very much restless as the result was to be declared, and how you know, she considered many of them as dummies because they were not doing anything. All right, so just go through everything, read the chapter, you will find it very easy now. Thank you.